minute.
Where are you, Bob? Where did the guitars go? Why did you sell them, man?
This week on the House of Static, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, writer, musician, philosopher, businessman, and purveyor of positive vibes, Tae Hero.
We want to see your pretty face. There it is.
Hey,
There's the man. What's up, man?
Yes, sir. How's it going, fellas?
We're wonderful.
What's up?
Let's introduce the show real fast. So, everybody, this is Tae Hero, but first, we are the House of Static. If you're here, you've probably seen other episodes, but if not, I am Kilo House, the house in House of Static, and this is the Static Dive, or Bob, but
There you go.
the static part. So,
Right, yeah. I'm Bob Smith, also known as the Static Dive, and one half of the House of Static. I'm today not in my usual location. I'm usually in my studio with all the cool guitars, and now I'm just in a boring old bedroom. So there you go.
Usually he has guitars. I thought he sold them all, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
right.
no, you gave up on music. So
Right.
this is my close friend who I've worked with numerous times. Tae Hero is how he goes by as an artist, but his name is Deontay, and we have known each other for how long now, Tae?
It's been quite some time. I'm thinking almost 10 years at least.
It's 11 years. That's right.
Okay.
11 years. Okay, so yes. So we know each other through our mutual friend Cayman, who he lived with and then I ended up living with. So we lived together. So
So we're talking about Kanan Sanders that we've had on this show here before?
Cayman. See, that's what's
Cayman.
interesting. It's
Oh,
not
I see.
Canaan, it's Cayman. So it's
I
not the
see.
guy that was on the program like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. It's someone different. But
Is this someone different also from Oklahoma?
Yes.
By
Yes, sir.
coincidence? All right, there you go. All right.
Yes. So, I mean, that's kind of how I feel like I know you, Tae. And then we became like best of friends. And now we're here today. So what about your opinion of how we know each other, Tae?
Going back to when we first met, I was let me see. Me and Cayman were roommates, and then I believe you came over. You were going to college at that time, and I believe you came over to study or something like that.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
I remember him introducing me to you, and he was like, "Hey man, this is Corey, this is Deontay," and we did the introduction. And I remember, and you had long hair then. I remember saying to Cayman, I was like, "This guy is super dope. He's super interesting." Like you had the huge
Very nice
gauges,
to
you had
meet
the
you, bro.
long hair, and I was like, "This guy is super cool. Like, what does he do?" And he was like, "He's a drummer, or he used to drum," and I was like, "Okay, that makes a lot of sense."
Right.
Right
So that was
on.
kind of like my first introduction, first memory of you.
So now that you've talked about me being a drummer, why don't we talk about what inspired you to ever start making music? Back before you ever knew me, I remember you made music before you knew me and before you started making music when I was part of your life. So can you explain that journey to us?
Yeah, of course. Music has always been a large influence on me. I remember as a young kid, my grandmother used to play things like Curtis Mayfield, and some really good stuff. And
That's what's
you
up.
know that just always stuck with me. And I remember growing up, and we used to have like the little contest in school where people would beat on the table, and in high school, and then we would have like freestyle sessions. And I would jump in from time to time, but it wasn't until a little bit after high school where I actually felt like I could do music. I was at work with Cayman, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And I had met this guy. His name is DJ Selly, and me and him were talking, and I
That's a cool
did a
name.
little bit of freestyle for him, and he was like, "Listen, you need to record."
Yeah, dude.
And I was like,
I remember.
and he was so serious, and like the look in his face, the look in his eye, he was like so serious. He's like, "You need to record this. And I was like, are you sure? He was like, yes, I'm sure. And that kind of is what set it off. And I was like, well, and then after that, I started, doing a lot of more freestyles in front of people, and
Yeah.
people all had the same conclusion. And so that's what drove me. It went from being just fun in a moment to me to actually being a real idea of something that I could really do.
Right.
That's interesting. We've never really talked about that before, Kilo. The impact of of the first starting to record, right? So
Right.
like everybody we talk to records, and it seems like everybody in the world records something now, right? But that initial like step of like going like, I'm just playing some music, I'm writing like poems, I'm writing some whatever, whether you're writing rap or rock songs or whatever,
Right.
that like you're kind of just a hobbyist. But then when you start recording, like you're making stuff, and then you're an
Right,
artist,
that's
then
true.
you've created a product,
That's true.
and that was, I
That's-
mean, it was the biggest thing for
I
me when I
never-
started recording. That was
Yeah.
it, man. I'm doing it.
Right.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
heart was
because
pounding.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's
Ooh,
awesome,
yeah.
bro.
Mhm.
That's a great feeling though, right?
Yeah, amazing feeling.
A good teacher of mine named David Garcia actually taught me about being an artist. You know David. He knows David. He knows David.
I
But
remember
he
that.
taught me like that when you're live performing in general, using that energy that you feel of the nerves and putting it back to the crowd is what makes you get hyped. So he was like, don't ever get rid of the nerves, just use it to your advantage as like an energy, right? So I think that you probably did that in the studio, because I remember those first recordings and they were fucking fire.
Yes.
Were they the ones with the rap group that you were in? Is that what we're talking about? And then
Yep.
and then you played at the club and then came and stepped on someone's toe and then someone pulled a gun on him and
Damn.
outside. And then he
Yep.
was like, come on, man, you don't gotta do that, man. And the security guard was like, you guys need to leave right now.
Yep, that was our
So,
first show.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
That would be
that
my-
is exactly what happened.
Welcome
That'd be my
to
last
Tulsa.
show. That would be my
Right.
last show at that place. Totally.
It
didn't
was
get a good
probably
club.
not, and I had played there many times in a metal band, so I knew the club very well. So I knew we needed to
great.
dip out. Like that was not a joke gun; it was a real gun. This is not like
Mhm.
Stanford, where it would be like a squirt gun. Let's just put it that way.
Funny.
So
Now
now that I've talked about where we're from, let's talk about what it was like in your early years growing up in Tulsa.
So my early years growing up in Tulsa, I remember a lot of people really starting to sort of adapt this Southern style of music that was coming from Texas.
Oh yeah.
And not only the music, the dances as well. And so we kind of adopted like a sub like Texas culture, and then kind of like turned it into our own. And that's how a lot of the freestyle groups started to happen. Like there were different groups of people that would just freestyle. And I believe at the time, Lil Wayne was probably one of the biggest artists in the
for
planet
sure.
at the time. And it had came out that he didn't write music. And so that's all what we were all doing. We were just all just freestyling the music,
Right.
and kind of making it up on the fly.
Yeah.
So you're saying, so you're talking like the sort of dirty South hip hop movement, right? Like from the late '90s, early 2000s, around that time frame.
Yep.
We love-
Yeah, right
We
on.
love
Yeah,
that shit.
yeah, that's good stuff.
When you drive into the Tulsa area, because I one time lost my wallet while on vacation and you can't really get on an aeroplane. So I had to drive back to Tulsa from New Mexico. When you get near Tulsa, suddenly you have like a dirty South trap station. I didn't realize that until I drove back that time. And I was like, this is why I make dirty trap music. Like this is what I'm used to listening to on the radio. This is the good radio station. So of course, that's what I make, So
100%.
I do want to say to our viewers, Tae no longer does music professionally right now. He actually has a business. Would you like to really quick plug your business and explain it to people?
Oh, so right now what I do is I do taxes. I prepare taxes. I do accounting work and some financial analyst work. I'm still going to school for both of those. Currently a college student, so I can't really
Congratulations.
just, yeah, thank you so much for that. I can't really just do it on a mass scale, but
Right.
I build financial models for some of the big companies, and it's just models of for me to basically learn. And
Right.
I find myself being, able to put my creativity, because that never leaves you. Once you have that,
Right. Right.
once you explore the creative side of your brain, it never leaves. And that's
Right.
how I get to really express a lot of my creativity nowadays. Is I build different models and I build different scenarios, and I say, I wonder what would happen if maybe returns were at 3%, and you build a model based off of that. Oh, I wonder what would happen if returns or profits dropped 1%. Then you build a model based off that, and you get to really see these different create and see these different scenarios, and then it's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it.
And
There's,
that's why I think that the biggest reason why this one going to be one of the best episodes is because some of our viewers clearly are not like thinking they're like an artist, but we want to show people that art is not just what we do. It's not just like the pictures on my wall. It's everyday life. It's normal. And you said it without a prompt, without me bringing it up. You said that this is what I use my creativity for. And
right.
so that's really why we have you on here, not to be like, hey, used to do music. You could used to do music. It's like anything and everything is what we're talking about on a weekly basis on this program. And so we want to show you that it has nothing to do with what we do whatsoever. So
Right. Well,
hopefully you guys get that out of this episode.
right on. Well, one thing I was thinking there, Tay, when you were talking about, you had the creative, kind of creative thought processes that stay with you, and you're able to, visualize things, and then, because that's what you're talking about. Like, hey, what if this, right? And there's all kinds of scientific studies about that, like how music and art does like make you smarter. Although I don't sound very smart right now, but
Right.
but it does it improves your ability to think abstractly and to have like a more visionary kind of view of any kind of task that you're undertaking. So you can see not just like what's in
Right.
front of you, but you can see
Yeah,
what
you
will
can
this
see like
become. Right.
it's not linear anymore. You see
Right.
everything in a different
Chaos.
capacity.
Yeah, chaos theory, game theory. You know what I mean? Like this happens and then boom, everything goes off. And then creating art is like that, right? You say, I play like, whether it's Kilo and I talking about mixing and we talk about like, oh, the guitar's too loud or guitar's too quiet and you have to take the other things out. That's that sort of thought process, that sort of abstract, like chaos theory, game theory thought process where you go like,
Right.
take this away to make this more. Like that isn't how normal people think, but that is how art
Right.
works, and
Right.
that's how
Right.
the world works. It's
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, for
So
It
sure.
is cool. It's very cool. I do enjoy it. I enjoy the process, and like Kilo said, I don't make music professionally anymore, but I still write. You
Yeah.
know, there are times where I'll walk outside and you know a scene may happen unfold in front of me, and the scene could be very simple. It could be someone simply getting into their car, backing out, and waiting for other pedestrians to pass, and for some reason it'll give me ideas, it'll give me stories, and
Right.
I'll go and I'll play
Or
some instrumentals. And
or getting in a car while people are firing guns at a club and then us trying not to run into the other cars that are panicking driving away. That
that was a
also.
really fun time.
Oh yeah, very fun
That
time,
was a
sir.
very interesting night.
It was because after this happened, this is a true story. We walk up to this club and my scooter is already dead by that time. Do you remember that part? So they're
Yeah,
pushing me. This
yeah, we're
dude is
pushing you.
he's sitting on a car over here and he goes, they're closed, which they clearly were not closed. We saw the time on the door. We saw the people were in there. And we were like, okay, cool, man. And then we're heading towards the door, and I'm from like me to my camera to the door, and we hear one gunshot, which I know what it sounds like, but Tay felt like it would be a nice thing to turn around and tell me what it was. And so I was like, yeah. So we are like, we need to dip now, and then we hear the rest of the clip inside. Then we really need to dip. So we then leave and run away and get in the car, and then we hear tons of gunshots outside. So then we drive away. We actually stopped. This is a true story, everybody. Don't be afraid to do this. Well, probably don't do this. We stopped in the middle of the road because a cop had pulled out of a Burger King, and we're like, we're gonna stop her. So we stopped in front of her, right? Not knowing it's a her, which that was probably even worse. But so then our friend who is in the Marines like got out of the car and like went and told her like, people are shooting at each other back there. You should probably go do something. And she was like, thanks. So then this is the vivid part of the night to me. Then we proceed to drive, and everyone's like excited for some odd reason, except for me, probably because I'm stressed out because I did not hit anybody with my car. And they're like, oh, we should stop at the strip club. I know this is a weird part of the story, but we drive towards it, and I'm like not gonna stop. They think I'm going to, and there's like two cop cars on the curb of the strip club, like facing the front doors. And I'm like, we're not going there. Fuck this. We're going home. So
we were just trying to find a great time that night, and it kept getting ruined by gunshots and cops. So yeah,
it did.
Time to go home.
Now back to the music talk. When Tay first opened the show and he talked about DJ Jail Cell or DJ what was his name?
DJ Selly 2 times.
DJ Selly. Okay. So you talked about DJ Selly and him being the person that told you like you could do music and stuff. I wanted to point out you guys are actually meeting the very first and only person I ever asked, do you think I can be a producer? Is this man right here. So if he did not exist, none of this would be happening right now, because I'm not a huge like openly asking someone if I can do something type of person, but because I have so much respect for him and his music, and I was there telling him to do music when he started, like I drove to our old house and I was like, bro, like life sucks. I'm fucking depressed. I don't like this. I want to be an EDM producer. Can I do it? And I remember vividly his words. We're sitting in my van outside of our old house. It's fucking freezing degrees outside. And he's like, bro, you can do anything you want to do. If you want to be a producer, you can be a producer. If you want to be a life coach, you can be a life coach. You can do anything. So I appreciate that coming from this man, because I would never have really sometimes guys having one person tell you you can do it can overcome 1,000 people telling you can't. If your respect for that person matters more than other people can tell you you can't do it, such as Joel, who you've seen on the show, telling me the learning curve is too high, give up. Like straight up. But then you got someone like Tay, a good friend, someone that you trust, telling you you can do whatever the fuck you want. Then you actually have the balls to do it. So thank you. And I'm sure all of our viewers thank you. So
hey man, I'm just glad I could be a part of something great. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Well, I was just gonna say, Kilo, I think one of the things about that that whole like the importance of like of other people, of connection with other human beings, and their their impact on us and everything, and choosing the right people to be around. Like I think that that becomes like that becomes more and more clear as time goes on, to me anyway. You know what I mean? And and I'm learning things at my ripe old age that I never really thought I would have learned. And that's a big part of it, is that like, hey, you're not an island. You're not a rock unto yourself, just floating in the universe.
We never pointed that out to people before.
You're connected to everybody.
For sure. In any creative industry, or even like, being creative like Tay, you're not an island. That's a perfect way to put it. Because if it weren't for Bob, for instance, I would not be doing a podcast. I never would have thought of that. If he hadn't offered me an interview on this podcast, that's now our podcast,
right?
And then like like me being like, yeah, man, and being so hyped about it that he was like, why don't you just do it with me? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
wouldn't have
like
done it
with,
otherwise. I wouldn't have
and
even
without
done it, honestly, really.
right.
On my
No,
own.
it's a wonderful union, but we both had to know
Yeah.
like you don't do it by yourself, right? Like even this like me and him have done some really good songs together. Actually,
Mhm.
that brings me to what I was gonna say. I did that on mistake, everybody. Good job. We actually have an EP out together called Ruthless. Um, but I wanted to bring up one interesting memory that I have
Well,
about when we were.
well, Kilo, could for real, you're zipping past the EP real quick, but I
No, I'm
think that.
not.
Oh,
No,
you're
no.
going into that? Okay,
Yes,
cool. Because I
sir.
was gonna
Don't
say
worry.
Tay does
Don't worry.
actually make music. All right, go for it.
Don't worry. We're getting it. We're gonna
Go.
get it.
You
Okay.
go ahead.
So, no, I remember when we're in the studio recording the vocals for our song "Sacrifice." Right. Would you like to tell that story, Tay? Let's see how you remember this story.
Okay, so I remember a lot of sheets. I don't know why we were hanging up a lot of sheets
Oh,
like
oh yeah. So when you guys go now and listen to Sacrifice on the YouTubes or the Facebooks or the anywheres that you ever listen to music, probably even on like your record player somewhere, um, we did it all in a like a big dining room area with a vaulted ceiling and shit. What we did was we put soundproof
yeah.
material. And remember, this is before I went to school for it. He didn't know. We just did what we thought would work, and it was fucking great. And it wasn't sheets, by the way. Hold on. So we took soundproof material from Walmart, did the whole back wall, and then we hung Snuggies from the ceiling and ran the mic cord and the mic through one of the armholes of one of the Snuggies.
What's a
That's the
snuggie?
ratchetest shit I've ever heard.
What
But
is a snuggie?
it's a thing that if you did not have a deprived childhood, is a blanket with arms attached to it so you can like wear it, but you can be a fat ass and eat as much as you want or do whatever activities you want to do. And then
I see.
sometimes we'd wear it backwards and wear it like we're Aladdin type of
I
thing.
see. So
So,
that's how
so
you created your ISO booth with a bunch of snuggies
right.
hanging out.
And the
Nice,
snuggie and the wire went through the armhole of the snuggie
nice.
so that then the mic could be connected to the audio interface into the
Right.
computer. So
It
Awesome.
was something.
that's what we did there. But yeah, the recording turned out great, even though we did not know what we were doing. We just knew. Like we watched a video of, I think it was what is their name? Oh no, I forgot. Of
Was it Les Brown?
Flosstradamus. Remember Flosstradamus? They're like
I
an
remember that
EDM
guy.
group. It was like Flosstradamus and like 2 Chainz or something, and they were recording. And they had a nice studio, but it did have blankets all over the walls.
Hmm.
So we were like, we can make blanket walls too. No worry. So, but yeah. So now back to the story about being in the studio recording Sacrifice. I know you remember blankets and snuggies. We know that. What do you remember from that recording session? Or do you not remember what I'm talking about?
I remember us sitting there for a good while we were I remember us just having a good time. That's what I really remember the vibe and the feeling. Like it was a
Yes,
good time in
it
that
was
studio.
great.
I think we sat there for maybe like what 4, 5, maybe 6 hours. It was a session, and we were just having fun jamming the whole entire time.
What we forgot to mention is Tay actually helped me write that beat because I never written hip hop before. So back before I knew how to make music, so I didn't know the verse, chorus, fucking weird stuff. Like I just was fucking around at first, and then Tay sat down and wrote Sacrifice with me. And the part of the story that's meaningful to me is I started tearing up while he's recording because I'm a big baby. We all know that's why I wear sunglasses. Everybody on this show knows this. And I teared up and I was like, bro, I love this song, bro. It's making me tear up. And he's like, bro, it's because that part is about your life. And I was like, oh, damn. So that's what's cool. It's like even my own life inspired me in the moment and moved me to a place of like emotion that I didn't know was about me. So that's
Right.
the part about sacrifice I think is dope is the app.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
That, I knew part of that story, and what's interesting to me about this, so because Taya, you may not know this, but I'm familiar with the record that you made with Kilo with Ruthless because I actually wrote the press release for it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
how
nice.
Kilo and I know each other because I run a music blog and I've written about his music a bunch of times, and that's how we got to be, that's how we got here.
Nice.
So I know your record, and I like it a lot. I wrote the press release. What I didn't know is that it was recorded a long time ago because
Oh,
because you just
yeah.
released it like a year ago, Kilo,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you must have done a lot of the mixing after the fact because it's got a lot of your current, no, it's
Nope.
all the original stuff.
That's all a Logic mastering template. That's what that is.
Wow, and it was all
So,
before you went to school.
no, yeah, I didn't know shit. Didn't know anything. But
Well,
I
you
knew
sounded good, man.
music by ear. Like my
Right.
ear knew music from listening to music my whole life, every
I
day,
think
every
we
second.
had just gotten some of that equipment just that day,
Oh yeah. We got
if I
the
can
audio
remember right.
interface that day.
Yeah. And
So
we were ready to put it to use. We were like overly excited.
oh
It was
yeah,
a
it
great
was
time.
great. That was the first song on the album we recorded together. Then we have the Hopefuls, which what's funny about that is, and that's a great transition into the next part. That's the song I wrote the night before I came out to LA to visit and check it out, and you guys have heard all that story. But that's why it's called The Hopeful. So I wrote the beat with the weird, like, real drums and everything, like, the night before I came out here, and then we ended up recording him on it later. So that wasn't a song written in the studio together. That was never
Right.
meant to have vocals on it. So the fact that I could fit his vocal in there so perfectly, and one thing we haven't mentioned is about his music. So he writes very inspirational things. Obviously, if you've heard the name of the songs, "Sacrifice" and "The Hopefuls" are the songs we did together, but they are very uplifting. Like, "The Hopefuls" is about like knowing that life has peaks and valleys, and that like that's worth it, and it even says a line about something about your friends having your back, like we just talked about, right in the end of "The Hopeful" somewhere. I'm sure you people can tell us in the comments where it is. But he talks about the exact same thing we talked about, where it's like you got to have your people with you, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, can you explain a little bit to us about how you could go from like being, you know, a little gangbang kid, like a kid, you know, like a kid, and then coming from that lifestyle into being in LA, living in LA, making music every single day, you know, doing shows. Like, how does that transition happen?
Yeah. Right.
Through a lot of hard work, and I would have to really say Cayman was really the catalyst for
We
a
love you,
lot of
Kenny.
it. Yes, Cayman was a really the cat because he was my first friend that I had outside when I was ready to switch my life. I was like, I need new friends, and Cayman was my first friend outside of that previous lifestyle, and
Right.
he showed me new religions which I had never even thought about. Like he showed me
That was
Hinduism.
fun.
Yeah, he showed me Buddhism, and all of that really set me on the path of being, you know, introspective and really thinking about creativity in a different way,
Right.
uh, changing my worldview, and really giving me a positive outlook. And I would say that's really what transitioned me into making the kind of music that I made and to, you know,
Right.
living the lifestyle that I was living in LA, making music and meeting people effortlessly,
Oh
making
yeah,
friends
it's dope here.
effortlessly.
You can just walk down the road and talk to somebody. Like
Yes,
super dope.
and you know, it was just a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful transition, and I'm really glad that I met you and Cayman because
Oh yeah.
that was like the whole process of me moving towards that path.
Well, this is how nice Tay is as a person. When I moved in to where we ended up living together and everything, and it was dope. Tay was in the bedroom across from the bathroom, which would be easier for me to get into easier from that bedroom. And Tay gave up that bedroom so that it could be easier for me when he didn't even know me. He just did it to be a kind person. And then I ended up shaving my beard and putting it in his bed. So that's what you get for being a nice person. No, that did happen, but that's not why it happened. No, but that's where his heart is. Like, he didn't go, I want to change my life, but I still want to keep my way of life. Like, because some people want to leave that kind of ratchet lifestyle, but they're not looking inside to change who they are. They want to be themselves and be thugging out and still have the lifestyle that he has now. And you can't really do that. Can you explain that to the people? Like, do you think that's possible to have your own financing company thing and still be living that way and thinking that way?
If I could, if I could really, if I could jump in there for a second, Kilo, I'd say that a couple of themes come up in the conversation with Tay here, and one of them, like as we said, you need people, you need good people, you need people that got your back, that are around you, that you can create with and live a good life with, and but there's also the notion that Tay just touched on, that you have to create your own reality. You know what I mean? Like, we live in obviously there's a lot of things in our world that we're born into that we have no control over, right? We don't have any control over the family we come from, or the home, or the neighborhood, to the town, or whatever it is. But once we're sentient beings, right? Like, once we're like capable of looking around the world and going, hey, this is the world that, I see what's going on here. Then we have a choice, and we could say, okay, this is how I want to be, and this is where I want to be, and this is what I want the world to be like. It's that really is it. You shape your world by your attitude. And I mean, that's simplistic. Obviously, you can't just say, I want to be happy and rich, and then you'll be happy and rich. You know what I mean? That's just not how it works. But you can say, like, the world doesn't suck, right? The world's it's full of good stuff.
Right.
And I'm going to go to that good stuff. I'm going to go live that good life in the good world. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're talking about.
Sometimes it's a very weird place.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
I'm not going to mention exactly what happened in this story because it's private. If Tay wants to say what it is, he can. But I remember him telling me the moment where he turned his life around, which wasn't when he was in jail. And he had an epiphany of, like, if I can do what I'm about to do, which I'm not going to mention, I could do anything else I want, right? Is what he told me. And he said he had magazines, and he would look at all these magazines and think, like, I want to have a house someday, which he did get a house, and I want to do this someday, and he did that. And it's like, when you come to the moment where you realize you can do anything you fucking actually think about, and you want to do bad enough, you can turn your life around. And he turned his life around from that moment. Like, that moment sitting in jail with the older people going, I don't want to see you back here. Oh, what's really funny, guys, everybody, shout out David. We love you. David's house is the one that he's talking about us recording in. So we're recording in this house that I moved into because I was escaping a bad relationship that was no longer a relationship. So I'm a good person, and I moved out in the middle of the night into this house with my really good friend's brother, David. So we're setting up to record. We had gone and bought all the blankets and stuff. He finally meets David. David is one of his old cellmates.
Oh,
so, that was hilarious.
That's great.
That was hilarious. I couldn't believe it when I saw David. I think he was in there for traffic tickets or something like that.
But that was not it. Not even close.
That wasn't what he was in there for?
No, I remember I was so the producer that moved into the house with me and did like some of the other stuff with me, he lived in the same neighborhood as David, and I'm not going to say what David did either, but I was there sitting outside of my friend Tyler's house when David had the cops raid his house. So it all is linked. It's so weird. I was there when he got arrested. Then I knew Tay after he was arrested. And then I live with David,
That
and
is
isn't that
strange.
crazy?
That is strange how it's connected. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
but you don't have a
But
sniper on you for traffic tickets, even though David didn't do what it was for his roommate, but he got in trouble because he was the one there. But still,
yeah,
that's a true story, guys. This is Tulsa for you. Are you
Jesus,
enjoying Tulsa yet, everybody?
it's amazing.
It's good. It's very
but
nice.
to go back to what you were saying earlier, about being anything that you, that's what I really love about our current time. We have
Yes,
so many
yes,
tools that's accessible to us that we can really create anything that we really want to create. Creativity is limitless now, and not
yes,
only can you just create endlessly, you can also create your own following. And that's what I really
yes.
like to say about creativity is some people, they come to me and they think that they're not creative, and I tell them all the time, yes you are.
Everybody.
You have this in your hand, you have the phone in your hand, you can use this to create this or produce this, or
Yeah.
creativity is limitless now, and I love the access that this current time has given us.
Oh, for
Right?
sure, bro. And
Yeah.
and go ahead, Bob.
Oh, I was just gonna say it. That kind of touches on the theme, like the idea that, like, everybody's a genius. You gotta find where your genius lies. You know what I mean? You can't. I think I don't know if it's really Einstein that said it, but that the whole notion you can't judge a fish by can't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, right? So, but
Right,
like,
right.
I like that.
right, and I'm connecting that basically to what Tay said. Basically, anybody can be an artist. Anybody can be a creator of some sort. You've got something in you to get out. And now
Absolutely.
with the changes in technology over the last, really just the last 10, 20 years, I mean, yeah, you're right. Everybody's got at their fingertips the tools that they need to do almost anything. You just
Right.
have to. But it's work. It's commitment. It's
Oh,
dedication.
yeah.
It's there's you don't just go, I'm gonna be a writer. You have to write. You got to write a lot.
Right,
And you got to
right.
make a lot of music to be making good music. But you
And
can
like
do it,
I've
and it's
said
cool.
before, you have to fake it till you become it. You have to get in
Right
that
on.
mindset of like, I will do this. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I do. Like,
Right on.
I think that it's something I can't stress enough to everybody listening. Like, whatever you want to become, you have to put yourself into the mindset of this is what I think this person would eat in this situation. I think this is when I would sleep. If I was when I'm where I want to be, how am I going to be acting? I think that's something I haven't pointed out about this. Is like the thing is, you need to start acting like that before you have those responsibilities. So then when you do, you have the capability to do it. So me writing one song a week back then made it to where I can write 4 albums and have Bob go, you write albums like I write singles. Because
Right.
I had that feeling of like this is my responsibility. So now as a true like an actual artist that's not faking it, I can do things like that.
Right on.
And to say what you were saying about working hard, I'm here to tell all our Tulsa friends hi that think like Kilo lives in LA now, he's living it up. Being an artist is not always the easiest thing to do, right? It is all the way hard work all the time, especially being an independent artist because you're doing everything for yourself. So I appreciate that you guys think that I made it, but making it is still a hard place to be, just like life in anything you do that you like to do.
Right
So
on.
just I point that out. So this is one of my favorite topics to talk about on the show, and I think it'll be fun to talk to you about. We like to talk about creativity and inspiration, and whether you think it's derived from a internal reasoning, like emotion, right, or thought, or an external reason, such as drugs, alcohol, relationship problems, relationship joys, friendship, right? So inspiration comes from lots of different ways, but which do you find most prevalent in your life?
I would say external, and not in terms of, drugs or anything like
Sure.
that, but in terms of just pure experience. I remember
That's
whenever I was writing in creating music, I used to do everything in the name of creativity. I would
Absolutely.
purposely do something that I hadn't done before just to experience it, just to add to my palette of what I could pull from when I would go into the
Right.
studio and begin creating and writing. So I feel like that is the most prevalent way that inspiration comes to me is
Mhm.
through experience, external things, whether it's going hiking like we used to go
Right.
hiking,
Well,
or
I
traveling
don't
across.
I don't go hiking, but okay. I appreciate the sentiment that I was there in your mind. Continue.
We've been out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh
Or
or
getting
going to the beach like how we used to go
yeah,
to.
there we go. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
we've been out. We've been out in California. Or traveling across the country, or you know, going to a restaurant that I normally wouldn't go to, and just sitting down and speaking with whoever. It's all about different experiences for me,
Right.
and that's what I feel like gives me the inspiration.
And when
That's
I
like,
hear
oh,
oh, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, it reminds me of, I don't know if you ever read On the Road by Jack Kerouac, but it's
I haven't.
yeah, it's a classic book. I mean, Jack Kerouac's one of the best writers ever. He's from the beat generation, beat poets. Anyway, On the Road is basically his real story. He kind of changes the names for, creative purposes, but it's just basically him going around the country, and he always says it in your story reminded me of doing things just for kicks. And he's an artist, he's a writer and a poet. So when he's doing things just for kicks, he's doing exactly what you're saying.
Right.
He's experiencing
Right.
life in order to feed his creativity. It's a brilliant book. You should read it. You'd probably
Right.
really enjoy it.
Yes,
Because
that sounds like something I definitely enjoy.
Right on.
yeah,
Wait a minute,
yeah,
what's his name again?
Jack
that
Kerouac. It's On the Road is the name of the book. It's from like the 50s, because before the hippies, there were the beatniks, and they were just these, you know, they were just smoking dope and going
right.
to jazz clubs and driving around the country and writing poetry. And
So living life
it's a great book.
large.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great book. You should read it. Anyway, continue. It's
Yeah,
right up
I
your
mean,
alley, though, I think.
for people who think that they're in a rut of like non-creativity that's listening to the program right now, I'd like to say, don't worry, we've all been there. But inspiration and creativity is like a well, right? So if you drink all the water out of the well and it's never rained, like the whole time I've lived in California, then you're not going to have any more inspiration left in the well, right? So what Tay is talking about is something I'm very familiar with, which is using like doing random weird shit in real life to refill that thing. Because if you always watch movies every day, eventually you're not refilling that thing. So maybe don't watch them every day, and they will. But one example I can give from me and Tay's life is one time back when he was starting to make music and I wasn't yet. We went to an air and space museum and spent like a whole day there, like me, him, and our other roommate. And we literally, like, that's what we did. We went and did this whole tour, and like it was all fun. And like you would never think three college like age students, people would go do something like that, because that sounds like a school field trip, but we got fucking pumped. We went to a restaurant called Sharky's afterwards. I put a bunch of chips in my beard when we paid the ticket. Like we really do. One good thing about Tay, and he's helped me learn to do it, living your life, just doing whatever. It doesn't even have to be like partying all the time, which we also did that, but it doesn't have to be like that. It can be going to a bookstore. We've done that 1,000 times. Or going to a library even. And you never think, I'm gonna be a producer. I want to go to a library.
Or
I've
putting
done it.
on tons of crystals and
Yeah,
jewels and rings and going to the casino. That was
we
an
did that.
experience.
We did. I'm a very lucky person, as you've heard on the show and taken a test of this. I will always win money at the casino, no matter how hard it tries to fuck me. So
Well,
if you
good
want
for
money,
you.
just go to the casino with me. So,
I
okay,
will.
so yeah. So what keeps you inspired, Tay, on a daily basis? Since you're out of music right now as a main career, I want to talk to you a little bit about that before we get to my favorite part of the program, which you all know what that is. But I want to have Tay explain, like, what inspiration looks like from his lifestyle now.
hmm So right now, I'm really not inspired. I mean, I'm not inspired on a daily basis. I'm more dedicated,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. You know, I feel like inspiration is fleeting, and it comes and it goes. And when it
Sure.
comes, ride that wave. And when
Right.
it goes, that doesn't mean that, the world has stopped.
Right.
That doesn't mean that your fans have stopped wanting anything from you. That doesn't mean that my customers have stopped wanting anything to me. And so when
Right.
inspiration is gone, what else do you have?
Right.
And I feel like it's dedication is something that you
Well,
have to have.
when you say dedication, I think the inspiration behind that is an end result, right? So you say there's no inspiration there, but there is. The inspiration is knowing where you want to go. If you were
Right.
not inspired at all, I'm sorry for everyone out there who's, living their life and doing cool things and think they're not inspired. You are, or you would be sitting on your ass in a dark room right now
There you
doing
go.
nothing. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It's not a fact. You're inspired by knowing where you want to be and not being there yet, which I think is a very healthy place to be. I sometimes purposely put myself in that position, which is not smart. Don't do that though. But yeah, I think that is your inspiration. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know
I
So
exactly what you're saying. That makes a lot of
yeah.
sense. That makes a lot of sense because I am focused on the end goal, the end game, and I do have my long-term plan into play. And I look really forward to executing on a daily basis. But I wouldn't say maybe it's motivation that I'm talking about. I
Right.
wouldn't say necessarily I'm
okay,
ready to just go every single day. Sometimes it's that hump that you have to kind of just get over.
Right.
sure.
Well,
And
I
yeah,
think
so
the
I
kind of
think
thing you're
maybe
talking.
motivation is what I'm saying.
Right. I think what you're talking about, it's like
Did we
you've
freeze
got.
up?
Oh, I don't know. I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Go,
Oh,
go
all
ahead.
right. All right. So, what I was going to say is that so you've got that spark of inspiration that maybe that's what inspires you to start a business or to record an album, whatever. But there is a period of time, sometimes days, months, sometimes years after that spark of inspiration, where you got work to do, right? And that's where
Sure.
so you start the business, but yeah, you got to like get money every day and you got to go out and work
Right.
it. And if
Right.
you record the album, once you're done with it, you got to sell that album. You want people to hear it.
Right.
So
Right.
there's the grind, you know what I mean? And that's, as you could call
Right.
that, inspiration,
Right.
motivation, dedication, whatever, but you got to keep on it
Right.
or else,
Sure.
that's it. So anyway,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a mixture of all of them, though. Like, I think that there's still inspiration in there somewhat because you're inspired to see if you can even reach that goal. Sometimes I do things up until the moment that I do it, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to try something else. Like this band I went to high school with when I lived in Colorado for a year called Texas. I think they were Texas is on Fire is the name of the band. They like did metal and they were a really good metal band, and then eventually they just broke up and everyone was like, what the fuck? And they were like, we just wanted to see if we could do it. Like some people literally do things we would love to do forever just
mhm.
to see if they can because that's how inspired they are. Their whole end result was I want to see if I can do it. And that was their inspiration for this amazing band that no one else sounds like, that I think is great. And yet they just did it to see if they can. So I feel like that can be a form of inspiration in your case, Deontay, where it's like you're doing it just to see if you can do it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but real fast before we speak on our last little fun question things, how did you go from music to finances? Can you explain that journey, the way your brain was like, I'm okay with not doing music. What made you not do music, maybe, type of thing.
Yeah. Um, so what made me not do music anymore is that I had, it's a real basic real world problem that happens to, I think, a lot of people. I had incurred too many responsibilities for the music to really make sense for me to keep doing at that moment. I
Right.
had incurred way too many responsibilities. I think my second child at the time. And I really had some things that I had to buckle down on. And right away, it wasn't finances. Right away, it was I think it was sales right away.
Right.
And that's what I had gotten into. My ex-girlfriend at the time, she had came to me and was like, you make really good music. Your videos got tons of views. I think I have one video with 30K views on it. And I think that video did pretty well. And she was like, you went to New York, you did a show there, you did a festival in Missouri. She was like, but you haven't really made any money.
Right.
And I was like, you're right. So I went into sales right after that. And when I was in sales, I realized that I still had the same fundamental concepts that I had in music. And my music, I wanted to help people. And just in business, I wanted to help people. And that's how I got into finance. So it was still the same music principle that I was using, wanting to help people and wanting to make people feel better. It was the same with finance. I had realized that, financial literacy, not only was it missing from my life as a child, but it's missing from millions of people's lives.
Right.
And I wanted to find out a way to bring that to people. And that's currently the mission that I'm on.
Nice.
That's cool. Right on.
So this comes to the part of the show where we usually say, is there anything else you want to say, Tay? Like anything at all. It can be random, like my favorite bubble gum flavor is strawberry, or anything. You can plug yourself. That sounded weird, but you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want to say, go right ahead for one time for the one time.
Well, I want to say that I really do appreciate you guys for having me on here or even considering me. This has been an amazing time. It's been fun. It's been fun to sit down and talk with you, and it's been fun, Bob, to meet with you. And,
right on, man.
I've had a good time so far, man, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, dude, it was great. And
right back at you, man.
We are very, very lucky to have you on here. I'm very glad that I know you and happy that you came on our show. And I want the kids all to remember what Tay just said, which is as a kid, you do not have financial literacy, whatever that word is. And that, you need to kind of adult. Eventually there's a point in life where you need to either decide to adult or never adult and just be homeless like Ronnie was, right? Okay. But like you gotta just buckle down and be an adult. I think that was a really good thing that he just said, because even as an artist, you have to adult. You can't just be like, I'm a starving artist and I'm gonna starve forever, because you will starve to fucking death.
Right? Yeah, you won't starve forever.
There you go,
man.
And I mean, also there's people like Bob who did music, then at an older age he became a businessman, and then at an older age than that.
Oh, what'd you say?
Older. I said older age. Don't worry. He's very young. He looks older than he is. No.
What?
I know, right?
I
I flipped that one on you. But no,
That's awesome.
yeah. I mean, so he did the whole business thing and then went back to music.
It's
so,
true.
Just do your life the way you know to do it yourself. If you are at a place in your life where you need to be older businessman, then do that. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Okay, now we
fantastic.
come to the fun part of the show that I'm sure all of you have fast forwarded to. Now you should go watch the rest of the show, where we come up with 3 random questions. So I'll come up with one, Bob will come up with one, and Tay will come up with one, and we have to all answer the question. Mm-hmm. And usually I let Bob go first since I don't know my question yet.
Yeah, I'll go. I was going to say the same
Good
thing.
Job.
All right. Well, let's see. Well, I'll just go back to the early in the conversation. Tay, you were talking about some like the dirty South hip hop stuff, and I love that stuff. I'm a big fan of real old school hip hop, like 80s and 90s, like especially New York hip hop, like Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions stuff. So I guess my question is, what was your first favorite hip hop artist?
My first favorite hip hop artist was
That's a great
50
question.
Cent.
Oh, there you go. Right on.
50 Cent. Because that was the first time that I ever wrote a lyric. I remember I had listened to his album. I think it was his first album, Get Rich or Die Trying. I think I was in like the sixth grade or fifth grade, somewhere around in that area.
Mhm.
And he had back in the day, whenever you had CDs, there used to be about 30 to 45 seconds of instrumental that would play
Sure.
after the
Yeah.
music had gone off. Yeah.
They did that on
And we
purpose
took,
so that you could rap over it. That's what they were doing. It's exactly right.
yes, you can see. And we took that 30 to 45 seconds, and I forgot how me and my friend Joey at the time did it, but we recorded that and we made it longer.
You
And
looped it.
that was when we wrote our first lyrics. Yep.
That's
That's
dope.
awesome. That's
Mhm.
actually, yeah, those old school records. That's exactly why they did that, because they put the beats on there and then you looped it. That's you looped it. So from an old song. But anyway, that's how they did it. Then you would make your mixtapes from
Yep.
loops from other people's records. That's cool.
Yep.
Great answer. All right, Kilo, what's your
Um,
your first favorite hip hop artist?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to either say, and this will show you the whole Dirty South vibe we're talking about. Either Ace Hood, who is an amazing artist from Florida, or the main one is probably Juicy J, who's one of my inspirations now. So I love, 3 6 Mafia, like Juicy J style stuff. I guess it's not completely Dirty South, but it is that kind of genre. It's funny because he talks about partying and drugs and drinking and all this stuff we talk about on our show. But I just like find his lyrics very motivating. The song, like, if you haven't heard it, everybody listen to the song Boss Up. Like, if you listen to Boss Up and you don't want to do something, you are not inspired, right? Like we were talking about. If you listen to it and you're suddenly like, I need to go to work and get that guap, then you are inspired and you didn't know it. So go ahead, Bob. What about you?
Sure. Well, I'll play on the theme that I'm old, because I am. So, and just for reference, everybody knows I'm 51 years old. I am not ancient, but I've been around a while. And so I remember the very first hip hop song that really anybody heard, right, that was ever on the radio was "Rapper's Delight" by Sugar Hill Gang, and it was late 70s, very late 70s, maybe 1980. It was real, like, and I remember it. I was a kid. I was like 10 years old. But I mean, I could say, the hip hop, the hip hop, you don't
Oh,
stop.
that's a
Rock it to the bang
great
bang
song.
boogie, so up jump the boogie of the rhythm of the boogie the beat. And it's this great
Yeah.
ensemble rap, And and actually that was a sample. They same exact thing. They took a loop from Good Times, the old disco song. Good times, these that's the bass line they took from that, and then they rap over it. So there you go. Sugar Hill Gang,
That's
Rapper's Delight.
awesome.
Right on.
That's
Okay, my
awesome.
turn. My turn for a question. What is one how do I ask this question? Damn. What is one philosophical idea that you kind of always go back to in your everyday life that actually helps you? Not something that like you've learned and read in a Bible or a book and think that like that's cool. Like something that actually like you will live your life by every day, and every time you make a decision, it kind of comes up. Go ahead, Tay.
We're all connected.
That's
There
what's
you go.
up. That's what's
Yep,
up,
Right
we're
baby.
all connected. That is it. That's one of the things that we're all one. That's one of the ideas that I do still operate with and to this day. So yes,
That's
100%
like
that one.
that's central to Buddhism, for instance. Yeah, too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
really the whole idea there. So, but good, good
Hmm.
answer. Good
Yeah.
answer.
What about you, Bob? What about you?
Not too far off of the mark with Tay there, really. I've been into Taoism since I was a teenager, and Taoism is possibly the oldest documented, philosophy, religion,
Oh,
whatever you want
for
to call
sure.
it. And before Buddhism and everything else, and Buddhism, a lot of Buddhism stems from Taoism, and a lot of Hinduism does too.
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
anyway, that's mine. Taoism. How about that? The way.
All of
Nice.
Taoism. All of
Right
the
on.
Taoism.
All of the
Awesome.
Taoism.
Yes. So I have a little bit of a two answer, like I always sneak my little extra part in there. first thing that always comes to mind and actually helps my life in many ways, in more than just for myself, is the saying or the thought process, do what thou wilt, which means do what you want. And that not only helps me as a creative type, it helps me be creative and do things and get it done, but it also helps me when judging people and judging others. If I want the right to do whatever the fuck I have got to give you and
Right on.
everybody the right to treat me however, whatever they're, I mean, that I say treat me because that reminds me of when I went to like get my passport and the dude didn't even make eye contact with me. My dad was with me because we hang out. And the dude would talk to my dad and ask him the questions. And a normal Kilo would be like, you need to go fuck yourself. But with that mindset, it's like that's how you were raised or whatever the fuck is wrong with you. And that's okay because that's you. And so if I want to be me, I need to let you be you. And that has helped my life immensely. Also,
Right on, man.
another thing that goes kind of with that exact thing is something that I learned from Buddhism, which is one of the best things to learn, is you're not punished for your hate, you're punished by your hate, right?
I like
Or
that.
by your anger, for
Right.
instance. Because I remember me and Tae going on my 1 year anniversary of being off of opiates long ago. We went to go camping and we got this lodge and paid a bunch of money for it. And then they didn't have a cripple room, and there was a step, which is not a big deal. If you know me, you know that a step is not a big deal. But I got pissed off and I wanted to leave. And then that thought process came up, and I'm like, the Buddha was fucking right. I'm about to be punished like by my anger, like not because I'm angry, but by having that feeling of fuck these people. I was about to take away a wonderful night where we threw wet toilet paper rolls at Ronnie while he was sleeping. Chris tackled Ronnie into the lake and broke his floating rib. I mean, we just kind of did all that, which we didn't even do like drugs or anything. It wasn't like that. We just did literally like we are teenagers again doing stupid shit. So I would have missed out on that. Okay, Tay, your turn to ask a question, bud.
All right, so let's see here. What do I have? I guess my question really isn't too random. It's just more or less my curiosity.
Sure.
I wanted to know, Bob, what sort of music did you create, or are you still currently creating, or what's going on there?
How are we all going to answer that? Why don't you answer that, and then Tay has to come up with one we all can answer that's not a more specific.
All right. Well, yeah, that's fine. I could answer real quick. I mean, I make music. I've been making music my whole life. I never stopped. I've only recently, in the last year, made it my primary focus in life. But I've always made music. Currently, I kind of make two different styles. I've either doing instrumental, down tempo instrumental trip hop stuff, real kind of mellow, kind of chill out instrumental stuff, and
Nice.
and then I do when I sing, I do more of kind of trippy psychedelic alternative rock stuff, upbeat but kind of a little bit trippy, and I play. I'm mainly a guitar player, but I play a bunch of instruments. So I play all the instruments on my stuff.
And
then
Oh, you say you play all the instruments?
Yeah, and then Kilo mixes and masters it. Yep.
Yes, I do the dirty work stuff. The fun.
It sounds impressive
Okay.
when you say you play all the instruments. Really, I'm a guitar player that knows how to do a few other things pretty well. But really, guitar is the one I'm good at.
Bro.
Well,
Don't be
anyway.
modest. Okay,
Anyway.
do you have
There
one
you
more
go.
question, or do you have a question everyone can answer? Is this a group activity or no?
Let me see here. A question everyone can. What does off time look like for you guys?
Off time.
That's a great
Oh,
question.
yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Who's
Bob.
it? Oh, am I answering this one? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't really have any, I guess. But I mean, like, when I say that, I mean, I've always got something I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Whether it's work,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
what you mean.
either I'm working on some music or I'm working. So like the things that are my job now, writing and making music, because I write my blog and I make music. Those are the things my job now. Those used to be what I did on my downtime, on my off time, right? So now I do those, and then so my life is kind of flipped around. Now my downtime is like, my off time is when I'm working, I'm hanging with my family, I'm taking care of the pets. Got a lot of dogs and cats and all that, hanging out with my
Oh,
girlfriend and
nice.
my kid. Yeah, so that's, it's just life. My off time is life, I guess. That's the idea.
Right.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
and I was gonna say, like, as an artist, I don't think you really have off time because when you're doing random shit, you better still be trying to inspire yourself. That's
Right.
my thoughts on that. But maybe no one knows on this show, maybe not. I've maybe said this. I'm like a record holder on the remastered version of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. So I have like the highest number of bounties in one lobby. Like it's been verified, me and this other teammate of mine back then called I Saw 69 Aliens. What's up, Daniel? I know you're watching. Don't worry. Shout out Daniel. Me and him got over 2 million bounties, which took over 24 hours. So to me, my off time looks like listening to music, whether it's my own or lots of other music, and just playing a video game, kind of that zoning out listening to music helps me get inspired because it's like I'm not, if you're racing at 200 miles an hour trying to catch someone in a cop car, like you're not going to be thinking, oh, that mix sounds bad or something. You're going to be in that state of mind where it's like being on drugs, where you're just in the moment of that song, and how does it make me feel, rather than, and they could have done this part better. Because one thing Hal Tae knows Hal said to me was, after you take my class, because Hal taught ear training, right? So I think we've talked about it on the program where, like, you'd have to take a test and say whether it was white noise, pink noise, brown noise, what frequency of the white noise was being dipped out on an EQ. You had to know it exactly. He said, this class will ruin your view of music forever. Which, in a way, he was right. When I'm not doing something while listening to it, it did ruin it because I'm like, fuck, they could have panned this better, or like, they should have used a different reverb. They should have used this reverb. But when I'm in that moment of just like driving, hauling ass, trying not to get caught by the cops, that's going to be a fun part to put in the trailer for this show when I'm not trying to get caught by the cops. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I do. Which it's funny. I started off by prefacing it by saying, there is no off time, which I just proved my own point to myself. Like that is off time to me, and it's fun, and I do it purely for fun. But it's still me doing stuff to be inspired. So what about you, Tae?
What do I do on my off time? I do the family way in my off time. I love taking my kids to places like arcades, sort of like Main Event or Synergy. So we love doing that. And then I love hanging out with my mom and my stepdad, and we all just get together and have like a big cookout and just hang out, man, and just really just chill. That's what I love to do. I love just hanging out with the family.
Yeah, that reminds me of something my dad said to me a long time ago when I was a kid. He said, do you know how you spell the word love? And I was like, yes, which that was obviously not the answer. But he said it's spelled Time. And he explained to me, like, a kid doesn't need like the best new toy when they're very young, or like, a new stuffed animal. They need you to take time with them. The time that you spend with your kids, taking them to the arcade or doing those things, those are the things that they really care about. So
sure.
There you go. You're doing it right, bro. That's one thing. I don't think it's an idea. I think it's like fact that shows love. Like I'll even think about that with my dog. Like I'm gonna stop. He knows Flex. I'm gonna stop and get him a toy at the grocery store before I come home, and I'm like, no. He would rather me be home with him with his 1,000 toys, even though I want to bring him something and buy him something and make him happy. He'd be happier if I'm there doing it with it. So, well, awesome. It was great having you on the show today, everybody. Look up our album Ruthless, and by the time this comes out, Bob's new song that's coming out in our time right now, tomorrow, but by the time this airs, it will be a long time ago. Go listen to Zen Seeds. I mixed and mastered it. It was a great start to this album we're working on.
Right on.
And stay inspired, like and subscribe and comment and everything, so that the algorithm, especially on YouTube, sometimes it won't show you people's stuff if you haven't given it enough love. This is not for our benefit. We say this is for yours, so that if you enjoy the content, you get to
There you
see
go.
the next episode, because we have a lot of good artists coming up.
Yes, we
And
do.
in the past, go watch the other ones. They're fun.
Right on. Hey,
So-
Tae, and I just want to say, Tae, thanks so much for coming here and talking to us. This was I really enjoyed it. You're
Yeah.
just you're a positive force, man, and it's a fun thing to do, to talk to you. I appreciate it.
Hey man, I appreciate you guys for having me for sure.
Oh yeah,
Right on.
and you're one of the only people who can keep up with my energy level. So
There you go.
on one of our last episodes, I talked about how like my theme song of life or whatever would be, the name of the song would be "Energy" by Drake, because it's just like, I am a ball of energy. I'm either asleep or I am energy. There is no in between. And Tay is one of the few human beings that can keep up with me and like go, like going to the club and almost dying. That was 3 a.m, and we had been going all day. So,
Right on.
okay. Much love to all of you, everybody that watched it. We love you. We love you, Tay.
Yes.
Right on, man.
Have a blessed day or night, everybody.
All right. Thanks
All
a lot,
right.
everybody.
Take
Adios.
it easy. Take it easy.
Peace.
Hey, let's take a minute.